Well, if you were like me, your Thanksgiving holiday seemed to be a barrage of sales ads, commercials, and food. During the day, I did find a few minutes to reflect on the real meaning of Thanksgiving, and I read an interesting article that I think is worth discussing. I'm your host, Jared Dyson, and this is the Closet Conservative Podcast. I want to start off by saying I hope that each one of you out there had a wonderful Thanksgiving. It's a wonderful holiday that time is set aside to reflect and to be thankful for all the blessings on your life. A lot of people are confused about this holiday and they think that it's, because of some pilgrims that were landing in Plymouth, Massachusetts. I mean, that's the story we hear growing up and coming through school. Yet the real start of Thanksgiving officially, it started in 1789 with President Washington, and he was asked to set aside a national day of Thanksgiving. There are many others that have talked about Thanksgiving before that. There were other celebrations of Thanksgiving, but this is the first time that we really celebrated it as a nation. Later in 1942, FDR actually established the federal holiday called Thanksgiving as the fourth Thursday in November. There's a lot of different traditions that are held on Thanksgiving. A lot of Americans are out spending the day, obviously overeating. They're shopping, they're watching football, they're watching parades, spending that time together. It's truly a great time to spend with family and friends. And talking is exactly what the left wanted us to do this holiday season. The Huffington Post suggested that there should be consideration and conversation around the carbon footprint of your Thanksgiving dinner. Believe me, the only thing that was on my mind while I took part of that amazing turkey was the fact that my wife did an amazing job again, as she always does. But then there was the suggestion by the ACLU and they suggested that we should have conversations around the political topics. They even went as far to make suggestions. You could read that on their Twitter account, but two of them that I really want to bring up here. They said we should discuss the Equality Act and that we should discuss pronouns. Now, I find that very interesting. The first thing that comes to my mind on Thanksgiving, obviously, is sitting around the table with my 91-year-old grandmother who wants to pray to thank God for His blessings on her life, providing for her another year. Discussing those pronouns is exactly what comes to my mind. I want to bring it up and find out which pronoun she prefers to be called. This stuff on the left is just getting absolutely absurd. They simply cannot take a day off from blasting their rhetoric. Take, for example, the mainstream media outlets. President Trump, he flew to Afghanistan, served Thanksgiving dinner to our troops there, leaving a lot of his family behind, no doubt. The only focus of the media, though, was that he was starting conversations with the Taliban. And then there was articles that posted talking about how President Trump has spent millions of dollars playing golf. I don't know about you, but I don't recall the media getting upset with President Obama playing golf. But the pronoun thing has really become a hot topic in recent weeks. This week on the website, I wrote an article that discussed a religious leader who came out in support of using appropriate pronouns for transgender individuals. I am in no way ever advocating for discrimination against someone. But there are ways around this pronoun issue without compromising your beliefs. I shared in the article that when you're talking with someone, you're really not using third-person pronouns. The left would really like to focus on the she, hers, and herself, and all those things. Actually, what you're using is called second-person pronouns, so words such as you and your. In a larger setting, it's important that conservatives stand up for the things they believe in. As you're talking about leaders and others in the community, they need to be able to speak out and call these people, these transgender individuals, exactly what they are. They are men and women. They are not fake men or fake women as they want to be. We call them exactly what they were born as. You can be respectful to these people when you're discussing these things with them one-on-one by using their name and using those second-person pronouns of you and your. Yet leaders and conservatives are continuing to fall for this social justice platform over and over. They don't see the fact that this is a loaded question and that it's causing a lot of issues for them. But if you really want to talk about a social justice platform, I really want to talk a little bit about this article from the LA Times. Now, again, I know the LA Times and I know what it is, but I finally thought I had found a really good piece of journalism. I have to be honest. I read the article and I thought they seemed to spend time researching. They had actually produced an article that was worthwhile. But then as I got near the end of the article, I was proven wrong yet again. I know I really shouldn't be surprised. I should have never expected more from a far-left newspaper. But the article I'm talking about was the story of Tina Gardere. Now, this lady gave up her child for adoption 29 years ago. And soon after she did, she was told the baby died. I'll kind of catch you up on the story. First of all, I was surprised this article even ran in the LA Times. Even that it ran with the word of adoption in it rather than abortion. I mean, they The left is seemingly anti-adoption in almost every way in recent years. They seem to prefer the murder of children rather than the providing of families to others. So it really caught me off guard that they actually brought up a conversation around adoption. So one of the things from my years in healthcare that we learned was having a high index of suspicion. So immediately I became suspicious of the article. I was like, wait a minute, this could be something good, but I was a little suspicious. I was waiting because I knew somewhere, somehow, there had to be some kind of a social justice platform in this article. So the article continues, and we learned that this lady, she gave up the child because she knew she couldn't care for it. Rather than abort the child, she chose to give the child life. She had a 1-year-old at home already, and she knew she just couldn't take care of the child. So after the child was born, she signed the adoption papers. Later, she asked about the child, and she was told the child died. And obviously, this crushed her. I mean, I feel for her after I read the story. It had to be tough to hear that the child you had just given up for adoption had died. So she spent years honoring this child that she thought was dead. I mean, every April the 6th, each year, she was spending and celebrating the birth of this child that she never got to spend time with. So we fast forward to the point of the article, which was that some point last year there was a DNA set that was bought through one of the popular DNA websites, and this DNA set led to their finding of each other through a match notification. Now, if you've ever used one of these DNA sets, you send your DNA in and they will tell you of family members. You know, I've done one of these. I've learned that I apparently have cousins that live in various parts of the country. These are people that I do not know personally, but that we are related. So this article, it built up the excitement and the detail. They felt like maybe she had finally found the child she had lost. There was something in the story that didn't match. The child she had given birth to was a little girl, yet her match was with what I'm going to say is, quote, a man. This was a transgender man. You see, her child grew up in New Jersey with adoptive parents and decided to come out as identifying as a man. The entire article refers to him as a he and discusses his battles with coming out and facing new family. And there you have it, folks. The story that had such an amazing opportunity to be a great feel-good story on Thanksgiving that left all these politics and social justice issues aside. But the LA Times couldn't even do it on Thanksgiving. They could not even take a day away from pandering to a special interest group. We've discussed that less than 5% of Americans identify as part of the LGBTQ community. Now we go to an even smaller subset where only 0.6% of Americans identify as transgender. The left simply cannot do anything that does not alienate Americans. I mean, here we are on a holiday where we can put things aside and we can truly focus on just being thankful, respecting each other as Americans, yet the left sees this as a need to take another social justice platform. Sitting at the Thanksgiving table is not the time to discuss pronoun use or social justice causes. As George Washington stated in his Thanksgiving Proclamation in 1789, he said that day, as he assigned that particular day in November, it was to be devoted by the people of these states to the service of that great and glorious being, referring to God, that we may all unite and render unto him our sincere and humble thanks for his kind care and protection of the people of this country previous to their becoming a nation. He continued that we should be thankful for the civil and religious liberty with which we are blessed, and the various favors with which he, being God, hath been pleased to confer upon us. He suggested that we unite in offering prayers and supplications to God to help us faithfully execute and obey laws, treat people appropriately, and promote the knowledge and practice of true religion and virtue. That's some deep statements. I mean, you don't hear those kind of deep statements from a politician anymore, or anyone in the public sector really. It's a huge difference from today's society as well. Washington is suggesting that we take time to be thankful for what we had before, what we have now, and for guidance and direction to do what we need to do to be successful in the future. Now, we are simply told that we need to listen to those pandering on the left, that we need to follow them in all their social justice causes. I'm sure it's hard to be thankful when you're on the left. I mean, if you constantly feel that there are social injustices and mistreatments in every which way you look and in every way you turn, it's got to be difficult to be thankful. It's got to be difficult for those members of the squad to be thankful for a country that they resent and are not proud of. I mean, I think back about Michelle Obama, who in the past said that was the first time she was thankful and proud of her country. I'm sorry, there's not a day that goes by that I'm not proud of who I am and my country. I'm proud of what my ancestors fought for. I am thankful for what they done. Rather than being thankful for the freedoms our ancestors fought for and for what we have, we're told we need to abolish them so that there's no freedom and that there's no future of our country. I'm sorry, that is simply a cause that I cannot support.
This is the Closet Conservative Podcast. All material copyright The Closet Conservative. Music courtesy of Greg Shields Music. Remember to subscribe to our podcast to receive all the latest episodes. We can also be found online at closetconservative.net or on Facebook and Twitter.